Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III, here with our morning meditation. Wow, I can't believe the year has passed us and we are now entering into a new year, a new chapter, a new book, even that we may be writing for our lives, or that history or even God may be transcribing for what would happen in our journey. But here we are once more to be able to share with each other as we journey along. And in reflection and in times like these, we pause for a moment to look back, to look over, to remember the way that we've traveled, the road that we have had to cross, those who traveled with us, the conversations we've had, the places where we stopped, the places where we cried, the places where we've laughed, the moments in which we've been exhilarated and moved to high heights, the other moments in which we didn't know if we would be able to crawl out of bed. Whatever it has been for you in the course of this year, I want you to be reminded that we've done it together. We have journeyed together through this process, and we will continue to do so. The morning meditations are meant to be an inspiration and an encouragement to each of us as we journey along. We are not aware of all the things that will happen to us along the way. We do not know, and nor do we dare to predict how life would twist and turn, what will happen in the world, what's happening in our country, what's happening in our state, what's happening in our communities, what's even going to happen in our own homes or in our own lives. But what we do know is that the value of those we journey with really make a difference, and it matters how we journey along one with the other. So let me share with you a little bit for our morning meditation today, which is entitled Reckoning with Ourselves. Reckoning with Ourselves. It is important to me as we share in the new year in 2024 that we take some moments to reflect, to reckon. To be in the place of a reckoning means that we're kind of doing the math. And we're actually adding up. It's reconciling all the things that have to do with our lives and getting a good view and a reflection of how we've come up to what it is we hoped that our lives would become. So today, I want to talk about reckoning with ourselves because I'm aware that as we do that reflection, as we remember, as we take an accounting of our own lives, we are reminded that life has not always been equal or the same, or every instance or every challenge does not always lead us to a place where we feel great about it, or do we find ourselves feeling low or having a difficult moment journeying through it. So today I want to talk about what you do next. How do you reckon? Well, we reckon by actually coming to the place where we recognize the things that are most important to us. And when we do that, then we are really summarizing three things. I think those things are falling to these categories. One, what we're looking for. So when you get ready to begin the new year, if you are so inclined, I hope you get clear about what you're looking for, because there's so many distractions, so many things that are around us that will lead us to just let our eyes, our hearts, our minds, our spirits dart here and dart there, that we may not be aware of what we should be looking for. But when you come to the conclusion, and when I've come to the conclusion of what I'm looking for, then I'm more apt to actually have eyes to see it. I always talk about God sightings. I share it. I borrowed it from a good friend of mine who's pastoring a church here in St. Louis. As she shared with her congregation about God sightings, it has become a part of who I am and how I kind of move now. I really am looking for God in different places. And what I've learned is the more I look for God, or what more I look for the holy, or what more I look for the sacred, or the more I look for that which uplifts, or that which gives life to my soul, the more I have to find it. Can you believe that? And so that when we are reckoning with ourselves, we have to be careful where we look. And when you're looking in dark places, you're not likely to discover there's going to be light there. If you look in places where it's going to be heavy and difficult, you might not find that there will be joy or relief. And so you have to be careful and be aware of what you're looking for. Then you have to decide, secondly, what you're willing to love for. I thought about it. I thought about it in my life, and I say, well, it's important for us to share these messages for our morning meditations, because I think we have to have something that we're willing to commit our love for. What do you really love? Is it your family? Are they your friends? Is it your job? Is it your career? Is it what you do in life? I mean, is there something that captures your heart that says, this is most important in my life? What sits at the altar of your heart? And then you should be in the place where you're willing to love for that thing. I mean, really give yourself to it. Give your passions to it. Don't be shy about it. Don't be afraid about it, but give your all to it. Because I'm convinced that if there's anything worth having, you're going to have to give your all to something. Now, what is it that you're going to give your all to? In the new year, I hope that you kind of get a list of your own and start thinking about the things that you're looking for, but the things that you're willing to love for. What will you give your blood, sweat, and tears, your energy for? And what I've discovered is those things are important, whether it be your children, your family, your God, your church, your service to people, whatever it is that's your passion, live out that passion and live it fully. Well, finally, I think it's important that when we're having a reckoning moment and we're reckoning with ourselves, we're aware it's not what other people impose on us, it's not what other people think we should do, not where we should go or what they think we should accomplish, but is what when we sit down, look in the mirror, look at ourselves, and when we take some moments to look at our own lives, what is it that's most important for us? What am I looking for? What am I loving for? And what am I living for? I am learning now that life is so transient. When I was younger, I thought, you live forever, and you thought that you could do reckless things and go where you want and do what you want and just make sure that you can, kind of like in the movies, you jump up in the air, do 50 flips and always come down on your feet. Life does not always leave you there. And the older you get, you realize you may jump in the air, or matter of fact, just stand up and your knee may go out, or something else might happen. And the things that you thought would work or that you could depend on may not always be there to hold you up. And what we've discovered in these times in which we live, that we look around, we look for our family members, and some of them, unfortunately, have gone on away from us. They're no longer here with us in physical form. Some of us have put a whole life into our jobs and our occupations, only to find that now those companies and those situations have changed and shifted, or even the morale or the way that people did things is so much different. Maybe they're out for the pursuit of money and not really the care of people, or whether it's teaching in the school and you want the kids to learn, but there's a whole nother agenda in line. Or maybe you might find yourself, in your own family, wanting to have everyone gathered and everyone splintered off in 100,000 places, and no one has time for anyone else. The things that we value may not always hold. And in these moments of reckoning, we are aware that there's something we ought to want to give our lives to. So the question for me that I'm offering to you to contemplate during this new season of your life is that, what do you want to commit your life to? What will be your life story? What will be the thing that you might want to say, that if this is the last days or the last year of your life, that you committed yourself to and you gave your heart to and what you look for? I'm convinced that it's worth thinking about. In a time of reckoning with ourselves, we can be honest with ourselves about the things we want to do and the things we don't want to do, things we like and the things we don't like, the people we like and the people we may not like, the challenges that we face and the ones that are too daunting for us to even think about. But right now, I want to encourage you, because as you do the reckoning with yourself, I want you to know that you're not alone in your reckoning process. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I remember going to the corner store called it's the general store in the neighborhood, and we made our way down. And when we would go, yeah, I know I'm dating myself, really am. It wasn't good for us, but as a kid, everything was good. They had penny candy and they had penny cookies. And on the coldest days of the winter, and when we would be snowed in sometimes, the store would still be open. And my older brother and I would make our way, in the snow. We bundle up layers of clothes and boots and gloves and scarves and hats, and we'd make our way as if we were going through Antarctica just to make it to the general store. And I remember one winter, it almost snowed almost 3 feet here in St. Louis, and we made our way to the store, and we took our little money and our little pennies and our dollar or whatever, and we decided that we would buy 100 penny cookies. Now they were small cookies, but they put them in a bag. They had ginger snaps and all kind of chocolate chip cookies and butter cookies. And I don't know who made them. I don't know how they made them, but they made a lot of them, and we ate all of them. But I remember getting to the counter once, and we took all the change that we had, and there we were with 95 cents, and we had 100 cookies. We were 5 cents short. And there, when we thought and offered up all we had, we were willing to take the 95 cookies and leave it alone and be on our way home. But a gentleman standing there next to us says, whatever it is they need to have, I'll pay the rest. And he gave us the nickel and plus some with some bubble gum and pops, and lollipops, so that we could take them home, walking through the cold in the dead of the winter. I miss neighborhoods like that. I miss those things. But the point that I want to make is that whenever we cannot reckon, when the things don't equal out, when we can't reconcile, when we're short in our balance, the beauty of life and the beauty of our Creator is that He comes always to make up the difference. And if you find yourself in the course of this year, or the course of the days that are yet ahead, or even at the end of this year as you're navigating one year to the next, when you discover that your balance sheet does not equal, think of all the places where someone somehow may be an instrument of the Creator, whatever it is, have been able to make sure that you didn't come up short, that your balance was paid, that somehow you made it through. Now, doesn't mean that you don't owe anybody. I don't think you get out of this life without owing anyone. Doesn't mean that you don't come to the place where you're not short and may have to turn away and walk away from what you might have wanted or thought you needed. But what you discover in the big picture of things, things equal out over time. Reckon with yourselves so that you can see that when someone else has filled in the balance. I know where my shortcomings are, but I also know that someone else filled in the balance to make room for me. And if you know that about your own life, it ought to give you cause to pause and to say thank you to someone, if not God, to someone else, a parent, a loved one, a friend, a stranger. For when you got to the counter and your balance was short, that you discovered that someone helped make the difference. Thank you. I want you to know that you'll make it this year, and I want you to be encouraged as you move forward into the next. I hope that these messages have been a blessing to you, an encouragement to you, something that has inspired you along the way. And I want you to be inspired and encouraged. Why? Because you're loved, you're appreciated, and yet you're irreplaceable. Have a great day. Have a great year. We're looking forward to journeying together along with you to see what kind of great things we're going to do together. Take care.